Hello, everyone. Welcome to Valiantis's Introduction to Jira Align webinar. Good to have you join us today. My name is Jason Kidner. I am going to be your tour guide through all things Jira Align over the next hour. I am an enterprise solutions architect here at Valiantis. I'm also a Jira Align subject matter expert, a safe practice consultant, and an Atlassian certified professional. I am joined today by my colleague Brianna. She is going to be monitoring the Q&A chat and helping to put in some links that will be helpful for you and any other, hopefully answer any other questions you might have in the Q&A area. So we're going to get started here. We have a lot to go through, as you might imagine, with this tool. So our agenda is pretty straightforward. We're going to start off with some concepts around the positioning and around kind of the structure of Jira Align, its uses, its implementation. Then the bulk of the webinar will be a demo of the tool. So I'm going to be showing you a lot of different parts and features within the tool itself. And then there'll be some time at the end for questions. So save up those questions. When they do come up, please put them into the Q&A area of this Zoom call. And I will do my best to answer those Jira Align questions at the end of our time. All right, so starting off with concepts, I want to talk about positioning. So whether you've been looking at Jira Align or not, Jira Align is a large tool. It's been a part of the Atlassian ecosystem for 5+ years now. There's a specific positioning for this. It's not for every single company out there. It's really designed for organizations that have implemented or are implementing a framework for scaled Agile, such as SAFe or Spotify. We found that organizations are most successful with Jira Align when they have previously implemented or are at least working on some framework and have gotten through one program increment or quarterly increment to try to, so that basically we're not working with the process and the tool, learning all that at the same time. So we have seen some companies do it together, but it typically works best when an organization is already starting on that enterprise agility journey and then are bringing this tool alongside to help, to obviously help it go and work even better. So again, as I mentioned, this is a large tool. It's meant for enterprises. It does have a higher price point than other Atlassian tools like Jira software. And it's meant really for enterprises that have at least 500 developers. Now that's not a hard and fast rule by any stretch, but it really does. You'll get the most value, the most return on investment as a larger organization. We believe smaller companies would struggle with the overall size of the tool, the administration, the price point, or possibly both overall. So, but if you're a smaller organization, you're using Jira or maybe not even using Jira, there are some really cool opportunities within Jira software that I'll be mentioning shortly. As you can see here in this slide, the Jira Align can handle the planning and visualization of work from the C-suite or the enterprise level all the way down to the team. And again, the execution of that work from the team all the way back up to the C-suite for reporting purposes. So it's a really, really robust tool. You'll get a really good feel for that as I demo it. So next, just want to talk a little bit again about some of the overarching features within Jira Align and how it can handle the complexity of Agile at scale or enterprise agility. So what Jira Align really helps with is syncing various hierarchies within your organization. So you have the hierarchies of people and work and time, as you can see here in the upper left. So it syncs people, the work that they do, and the time boxes that work is done in across the entire enterprise. So, and we'll kind of note here, Jira, Align offers a number of things, including product management, strategic portfolio management, and scaled development. And these all kind of interplay, as we'll kind of highlight here. And as you can see here on the left, Jira Align, the focus of Jira Align, while it encompasses all the different layers, you'll notice that it's really meant to sit on top of Jira software. And it can also sit on top of other solutions or other work tracking software like Azure DevOps or other potential things out there. It has connectors for a number of these these work tracking tools. But as you can see here, and the way Atlassian likes to market it is, it's really like the roof of the house, that other products, especially like Jira Software, and the work being done there would roll up. And then Jira Align is then the place where the work done at the team level starts to roll up to the program or team of teams level, and then on up to the portfolio and enterprise layers. So you can see that represented here with the people hierarchy. So, and then you also have your work hierarchy. So again, the teams are working on those stories, potentially the tasks or subtasks. Those would roll up to Jira epics or features, as they would be better known at within the SAFe framework. They could then roll up to portfolio epics or initiatives, then up to themes, and then up to your strategies, your long-term goals, your mission and vision. And I will note here that it's not shared in this slide, but Jira Align does also have a solutions layer that has the capability work item. So that could also slide in here if you're a much larger organization that needs that solution layer between the program layer and the portfolio layer. So just wanted to call that out. The other hierarchy that Jira Align handles really nicely is time. And as you can see here, you have your year-long or multi-year strategic snapshots, which can be, as we'll see, can be handled within the tool. You also have program increments or quarterly increments, whatever terminology you use. That can be set up within the tool. And then what's great within Jira Align is you can also then slot under these things called anchor sprints underneath your quarterly or program increments that then can align with the sprint cadence that is happening over in Jira software. And those can be mapped under an anchor sprint. So really this tool can roll up from the sprint level to the quarterly increment up to the larger strategic snapshot level, which again, that sort of functionality isn't available in that way within Jira software proper. So we have these three main hierarchies. There's also some bonus layers, which we're going to be calling business vectors here within this slide. These are things like products. There, again, is a product management module where products can be set up. Those products can be linked into the features that your programs or your Agile release trains are working on. There's also a growing, there's been objectives in the tool, but a growing investment into OKRs and some new UI updates around objectives and key results. Again, those can be tied in at the different layers of work. There's value streams, or what will be called process steps as well within the tool. So you have some customizable workflows or value streams especially for features and portfolio epics. There's also domains, and there's also budgeting. There's financial pieces within the tool that I'll get to and highlight. And I will just kind of say Jira Align's not meant to be your financial source of truth, but it does offer some really intriguing aspects to kind of help you to get for funding and forecasted spend, accepted spend, things like that. So a lot to show you here. I'm going to keep moving. For Jira Align offerings, there is the Jira Align that typically most clients go with the premium version, or the enterprise level, I should say, which has all the different modules of Jira Align. It also includes a sandbox, a test instance of Jira Align that's really great, and you can see some new software updates that roll out to those first, and you can do a lot of testing and mocking up things before you then deploy it to production. There's also an add-on that doesn't come with just Jira Align Enterprise. It's called Enterprise Insights. This is an add-on I've seen most of the clients that we work with use. It's really the data lake, if you will, for Jira Align. It has all the tables, all the raw data that's being used by Jira Align, and you can then export that and bring that into a business BI tool like Power BI or Tableau. This also does have syncing now within, if you have Jira Enterprise and you have Atlassian Analytics, you can also bring in the Enterprise Insights data into Atlassian Analytics for your dashboards and your reporting there. So seen a lot of companies use Enterprise Insights and create their own special custom reports. It's really, really great. Atlassian is always making investments, increasingly so within Jira Align. There's, as you'll see, a brand new navigation that launched and was brought in last year, and now it's really they're turning off the old navigation, so they're going with the new navigation. They're bringing in forecasting, some new forecasting and capacity planning modules. Also, constantly doing updates to the API for Jira Align, and also the connector that connects to Jira, or potentially other work tracking tools. So a question we get a lot when we're talking with potential customers: what's the implementation process? Well, this is a large tool, and you can kind of see the timeline here, where there's planning and discovery that would then lead to the configuration within the tool, kind of trying it out, making sure it's all going to work correctly. Lots of training for your different roles within the tool, like your product managers, product owners, scrum masters, or RTs, so on and so forth. And then you're launching, going into potentially your first PI planning or quarterly increment planning. And so typically what we see is it takes around 3 months to go through that discovery, planning, configuration. And this is really just for one program or one Agile release train. That's really the best practice, is to launch with one. They would be the guinea pigs, as it were, and then get them going into their first quarter or program increment. And then once that, you start to work the kinks out, then you start to expand Jira Align to other programs, other release trains, and keep bringing them in. And once you get everything up and running with training and all the run books that you have, then this should be, hopefully, starts to become a more seamless process. And then once you get your programs in there, then you can expand to that portfolio layer and really start to get really into the high level and top-down planning that we'll talk about. And Valiantis is here as certainly as an enterprise agility specialist partner with Atlassian, and we've done a lot of implementations. We have a lot of Jira Align clients. We know the tool really well and can certainly help you with any needs you have with the tool. Before we jump into the tool, just a little mention here to if Jira Align you decide, this really is too big of a tool for us to try to implement, you're not, don't worry, there are other options. So if you have Jira Software Premium or Enterprise or Data Center, it comes with something called Advanced Roadmaps. This is formerly called Portfolio for Jira. It's actually being rebranded now more as what's called Plans within Jira Software Cloud. But the idea here is that this is a really great planning tool within Jira, and that you can use for road mapping tool to help you plan your scaled Agile. It's ideally set up to be used for 20-ish Agile teams, like 50 to 150 people. And as you can see just here in this brief screenshot, right, you can see your work breakdown, your scope of work. You can see timelines, your Gantt chart. On the right side, you can see dependencies. They're really investing a lot into this as well to show dependency reporting, and lots of different custom fields you can bring in here. Even some capacity planning around sprints or Kanban teams, things like that. So this is really great for growing Agile organizations that need more visibility across teams, maybe at that team of teams level, to see when things are going to be delivered, when things are going to be planned out, what are the dependencies. And so this is a really great feature, a really great part of Jira software that I would highly recommend. Even if you start to use Jira Align, some of your team members are really just going to be in Jira, and they're not going to be switching between the tools. And this could still be used and have a lot of value for certain roles as well in Jira. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to now get into the product demo. This is what you've been waiting for. So let me switch over to the browser with Jira Align. So Jira Align is it is a SaaS solution. So you can see here I'm logging in, and also just wanted to note that this can be set up for within your SSO strategy. So you can absolutely use your SSO strategy and have that set up and be integrated. I'm going to sign in here. I don't have that set up in this demo instance. So when you log in now, you come into what's called the home screen. Again, this is the new navigation experience of Jira Align. If you've seen other older webinars, other YouTube videos, you might have seen the older version where you have a menu on the left-hand side of the UI. So this is the greatly updated, improved UI. Again, it looks a lot more like Jira Software Cloud. So Atlassian's clearly trying to have a more seamless experience in all of its tools. So you have your home page that shows you where you've been recently. It even shows some of the starred modules that you can star, as I'll show you shortly. At the top toolbar highlights the different layers of scale within the tool. These can be turned on and off within the tool. They can also, everything in the tool really is also very customizable in terms of permissioning. So you can set up different roles that are instance wide, and you can give certain roles access to certain parts of the tool. So I'm an admin, a super admin here for this particular instance. So I can see everything here. And you can obviously tweak this for each role that you want to tweak it for within your own instance, and let people see and do what you want them, what you only want them to do. So we'll get into each of these, but in the old UI, there used to be what's called a configuration bar at the top that kind of set the filter for the whole instance. Now, what happens is when you drop into a given layer of scale, you are choosing a particular configuration, a particular subset of work that you want to see, and even time, as we'll see shortly. So you have enterprise level, a portfolio level. This instance, we have the solution layer turned off, but if that was turned on, that would show up here between portfolio and program. You have the program layer, the team layer. There's the product management module there. There's a customs room. This is more of something you can turn on and off and try out if you want to. It's kind of a newer thing that Atlassian's working on to potentially give some more customizable hierarchy and grouping within the tool beyond what you normally see here. Then you have any modules or different parts of the tool that you've starred, which show up here as well. You have an items dropdown, which as I click on this, you can see all of the different main work items from themes all the way down to tasks. Then you have a lot of other work items as well within the tool that kind of, again, it's this big matrix of lots of different work items or different objects that would map back and forth to each other. You have your create button here. Again, this has all the different creations. I'm a super admin, so I can create anything, but you can permission this to only let people create what they should be allowed to create. There's personas in the tool. I'm not really going to highlight too much of this. Again, this is an introduction. We do have some other opportunities to learn even more on a full day class, a boot camp that I'll talk about later on. But there's personas that you can set up within the tool. There's a search area. Again, you can search by text. You can also search by ID. There's some notifications within the tool similar to other Atlassian products that you can get emails or see in-tool notifications when certain updates have been made. There's checklists as well for certain runbooks or things that might be done over and over again for certain roles. You can set up checklists that will map exactly to the part of the tool that they need to use for something like a PI planning event. So there's that available. There's help. And then there's the gear that allows Jira admins to go behind the curtain and do all the configuration settings. You also have your profile, which allows you to see some other things about Jira Align. What version is it on? This also lets you do a lot of personal settings, which are really important actually to adjust how many records or work items you can see per screen. Allows you to see external IDs. This was really great to turn on to see the Jira IDs for like your features or your stories. And you can also get summarized emails, things like that. So A lot of different options. Again, really high level walkthrough is what we're doing right now. But what I really want to get to now is highlight two of the main overarching use cases of Jira Align. And those are, first, the strategic top-down planning, and then second, the visualization of the execution of the work from the team back up through the different layers of scale. So we're first going to talk about the top-down planning. So I'm going to work my way from the enterprise down to the program and team levels. And then we'll have a short commercial break. And then after that, we're going to kind of work our way back up to show what execution and progress looks like, and that reporting as work is being executed on. So for our first top-down planning, we're going to go to the very top. We're going to go to the enterprise layer. And once you come in here, notice that it asks you to choose a snapshot, to choose a time block to see the strategy play out. So I'm going to choose this corporate strategy 2024. And this is basically, bringing in various, a time box, or really, I think, a year's worth of work across various portfolios. So you can see up here, this is where you can input a mission, vision, values within the tool. And those can be seen further down here, where you have your mission, why do we exist, visions, your values, this strategy pyramid. And then this shows you how this connects to strategic goals. And again, all these things can be there's a lot of customization available within the tool with terminology. So all these different words you see here, you can change the name of this within the tool to make it set up for your company. So you have strategic goals that are more like your long-term goals that would roll up to your values. And this is where, and then you have objectives, portfolio objectives, program objectives. Again, this kind of hierarchies you can see here at that for those objectives that can roll up to your long-term goals. Then on this other right side of the pyramid, you see your themes, the epics, features, again, the hierarchy of work. And you can see how the themes connect to goals and epics connect to portfolio objectives, kind of achieve those objectives, so on and so forth. So you kind of see those up here. There's, again, a lot of robust objective key results. You can see a heat map here to see how things are going at your different layers of scale. You can roll down here to an OKR tree, again, to see that hierarchy of objectives. That really could be another objective that didn't show up in that one slide, but there is a whole hierarchy of your goals and objectives. And you can see different key results here and how you're doing it at those. Lots to show here. Yeah, these are all expanded out. Then up here in the upper right, there's a snapshot progress and execution against outcomes. So again, kind of showing how are you doing at executing against your different outcomes, and how are things going? How is progress being made over the course of, again, whatever your snapshot happens to be. This happens to be a year long. So you can see how many features are accepted, how many epics are accepted, how many themes are accepted, right? You're always trying to get to the point where you're delivering value, through work that's being delivered. So this is like that high level roll up, but you're seeing that roll up, but you're also seeing the ability and how you're kind of planning from the top down. So to go to the next level, so this is at the enterprise level. Now we're going to go down into the portfolio level. I'm going to choose one of the portfolios that's set up. Notice you can set up multiple portfolios within the tool. We'll choose digital services. And here you start to see what the UI looks like when you drop into one of these layers of scale. Similar to your coming into a project within Jira software, you have this menu here on the left-hand side. This is where you can adjust which portfolio you're in, that filter. You can also choose the program increment or increments that you want to. So this has been a really upgraded piece of the UI. So for a portfolio, you might want to see beyond just one PI. You might want to see multiple PIs, and you can bring that filter in here. one I want to start to highlight here in that, again, thinking about top-down planning is the backlog module. And here it's dropping me into the Epic backlog. But as I click on this viewing drop-down menu, notice that there are backlog levels for each of those different levels of scale. So you have theme, Epic, this shows the capability backlog, and then a feature backlog. So I just want to start here at the theme, because this is where you're going to be bringing in, again, your top-down planning. You're going to be setting up themes, your strategic themes that connects to those high-level long-term goals. And so again, this is set up for one portfolio for one particular PI. We can see here, there's 9 themes that are tagged with this PI. And notice these themes over here have many PIs. Again, these strategic themes are very likely going to go more than one PI, likely maybe even more than 4 over a year long. So what you see in this backlog view at each layer is you're going to see the particular work items. You have some columns that can be shown, and those columns can be adjusted here based on the work item level you're on. There's also other filtering you can do at each level. There's also a list view and a Kanban view. I'll kind of get into these a little bit more as we kind of work our way down. And then you can see 2 layers of work, actually. So you can expand, in this case, you can expand the themes, and you can see the child work items underneath, which happen to be the portfolio epics. So you can see kind of the work breakdown, 2 layers of that work breakdown in a given backlog. And then I can also see, this is where you can do the ranking and re-ranking. So I can drag and drop themes and re-rank them here. This is where you're going to do the ranking. And I can even also click on one of the summaries, and this is where I'll pull out and see the detailed panel or the view screen of a given work item. So themes are fairly straightforward compared to some other work items. Every work item will have a details panel where you're entering the basics of like the summary or the title, usually the program increments, various other fields that relate to a specific work level. So you can see there's a lot out here, and you can also see some other pieces or objects within the tool that are linked to the theme. And then there's some other choices, things you can do with themes, other views, and quick links to other reports. So that is themes. So you would start off likely putting in themes again from the top down and starting to do your ranking, your prioritizing out here. So next, from themes, those themes would be broken down into epics or portfolio epics, whatever, or initiatives, whatever your organization might use. So here, again, I'm just in this portfolio, seeing portfolio epics for this portfolio of digital services for a given one PI. So this is going to show me all the epics that have that PI set up within them. So I can see there's 30 epics here in PI 5. As I expand this list view, I can see all of these here. I can see the rank of these, and I can again use these for re-ranking. I can see a bit more columns available at the epic level. There's a lot of choices out here to bring in, and you can see, you can kind of go back and forth between each layer of scale to bring in different columns. I think I'll note here that, you can see some different tags, the PIs. Notice there's a support within Jira Align for WSJF, which is more within the SAFe framework, but it's available at the epic level, at the feature layer, again, to help with your prioritization. I will highlight here too, just tap into the Kanban view within the backlogs. This has a state view, a process flow view or a value stream view, and a column view. The state view is really set up more for just the kind of the states that are pretty rigid within Jira Align. At each layer, there's a set number of states, or you could think of like workflow statuses is your states. But then you can get very customizable with your process flows or your value streams, where you can set up specific next steps or process steps that kind of gives you a more customized workflow for a given layer of work. So in this case, if I click on the process flow for these portfolio epics and expand this, I see, again, what you might normally see a Kanban board in Jira, where you can see the different process steps here. This is actually set up within the tool as a safe epic intake Kanban board. So it's already set up within Jira Align to use this, this standardized like safe intake and all the process steps that go into that. So this is just to give you a vision for how these process flows can work. And you could set up your own unique one. You don't have to use this one that you could set up for your epics. So there's that ability, and then you can drag and drop and these along into a new column, into a new process step, and any updates within these process steps would always be showing real time. Okay, that's all I think I'll say about that. In the epics, let's drill into one of these. Let's go back to the list view. And just want to highlight again, very, very quick overview of these. So at an epic, you notice there's a lot of different tabs you can set up. You can use these or not use those. You can customize this. But you have, again, a details tab. There's a design tab available for design hypothesis. There's an intake tab that you can set up. This can be very customizable about why should we consider doing this epic. There's a benefits tab to use a lean business case. There's a value tab that you can see Jira Align supports value engineering, also has a high level return on investment area. But again, with the idea that you're hypothesizing, should we do this? Why should we do this? What's our target metrics? Then you bet on it, maybe start to fund it, and then kind of decide, well, is this really working or not? Are we pivoting or are we persevering with this epic? So there's that. There's times and skills that kind of won't really get into depth too much in this. Just to highlight here, there is a spend or a finance tab here that, again, is constantly being updated and invested in, where you can set up budgets. There's forecasting. Again, this kind of all revolves around points, or there's a lot of different bells and whistles, different switches you can do in the background as to how are your financial calculations being done. But more often than not, it's around your story points. It's around how much are you spending per story point given various setups with your cost centers within the tool, with the rate that your different team members are costing, things like that, and how much your story point spend is and how that's all rolling up. But you can see, there's a lot of opportunity here to see forecasted spend, estimated spend, accepted spend. So you can get a sense of how are we doing financially with each of these epics. I mentioned, there's a newer forecasting piece at the epic level and the feature level. I'll kind of touch on that shortly. So there's a lot of possibilities with epic. This is one of the bigger, more complex parts of the tool. But I want to keep going down. So you imagine you have epics, you decide, you prioritize those, you say that you as an organization want to work on those. Those epics would then be broken down into features. So I'm going to go down to the feature backlog. And so again, those features are being set up, and features are typically, at least within the SAFe framework, are going to be planned out in a given PI. They're meant to be scoped to be big enough, or not too big, but to be small enough, I should say, to be delivered within one PI, which is typically 3 months. So this is where you're setting up your PI, your features, you're deciding, you're assigning them to PIs to hopefully be delivered in. And there's also, as you scroll down, there's a lot of features here. Actually, let me collapse that. There's also an unassigned backlog, right? You're going to be gradually creating more and more features, thinking about planning for those. Are we going to do those? When are we going to do those? So this happens to just show the particular features, 243 for this portfolio, this whole portfolio, which again is like a team of different programs. So actually what I want to do here, let me go into the program layer now, because I really just want to focus on one particular program's worth of features. So for this, I'm going to go into one of the programs under the digital services portfolio called the mobile program. And I land in the program room, but I want to go to the backlog. And this down at the program layer will bring me into the feature backlog. Now here, this is more what I'm looking for. I have 62 features that as a program, as a release train, we're planning for PI 5. And again, I can open this up, adjust my columns, adjust, see a particular Kanban process flow for features. Can even go in now here down at this level into the column view, which the column view is really, the main reason for this is to see your estimated load versus your actual load. And again, load can mean t-shirt size, can mean story points. Ultimately, it's going to boil down to story points, no matter what particular estimation you're using. But as you can see here with these 62 features, the estimation that they're using is rolling up to way over the number of points that this particular program can handle. So it's way over that. But if you click to the actual is saying, well, no, you're only at 92% load. This is the actual story points that are coming from underlying stories that are rolling up to the features. So clearly the planning was way over what the actual is, which you probably want to discuss as a program. But let's go back to the list view. Again, this is where you'd be working on this as your program managers, your product owners, in order to get ready for like a PI planning event. Bring in what you want to, make sure they're ranked appropriately. And then as we click into one of these features, notice it has a similar icon to a Jira Epic or a Jira feature over in Jira, right? That lightning bolt, that purple lightning bolt icon. And within the features, you can see, again, a number of tabs. These are meant to be set up really with one program, with one PI. This is, as you can see here, this is the layer of Jira Align that would start to sync over to Jira. So you can set up, this is set up to a Jira project. So, and there's various ways to do this, but this is really the first layer of work items in Jira Align that you can sync with the Jira connector. And those would become Jira Epics. You can rename those to features now in cloud or in data center. So those would sync over as Jira Epics or Jira features. And so this is where you start to unlock the connection point to Jira. There's a design tab, again, a value tab, similar tabs to the Epics, spend and forecast tabs, things like that. So those are available here. And so, yeah, so this is where, yeah, you've done your top-down planning. You're ideally going into your PI planning. And just wanted to highlight a couple more things. I know time is running here as we think about imagining going into PI planning. Then now that we're down at the program level, there's a program board. And so without going into too much detail, this is really meant to be a digital representation of what used to be done in like a big room planning with lots of sticky notes on the wall and maybe thread showing the connections, the dependencies between sticky notes. So this is a really, really fun and cool visualization in the tool that is highly used by all our clients, where you can highlight for a given program or release train for a given PI. You see all the teams within that program. You can see a lot of different stuff here. You can see the different objectives represented by that hexagon here at the top, both team and program levels. You can see milestones as well. You can see the rectangles here represent the features that are being worked on. And those could be, again, delivered and be worked on by multiple teams. So they would show up in multiple places if I clicked on one of these. And you can see, yeah, if you click on these, you can also see more information about them. So you have your different features that are being worked on and planned out, and which sprint or iteration those features are meant to be delivered on by each team. You also have this chevron or plus symbol. This represents dependencies. And so I'll talk about that in a minute. Jira Align has really robust dependency management, and you can see those dependencies start to show up here. Whether a team is working on a dependency or requesting a dependency, those would show up in the correct team rows. And then this has a lot of different colors, as you can see. Once you start to use this for planning, and then the PI is actually, starts to be implemented and this is being executed on, as different things start to be updated within the tool, you will start to see different colors show up. Green is typically good, and red and orange, yellow, those are typically like something's off here. And so the tool is really, really good at highlighting different errors. And then just a couple of things in the way of planning for your PI planning is there is capabilities within the tool for a number of things that go into PI planning, like dependencies. So again, just real high level look at dependencies. The idea here is a team is dependent, needs another team to work on something for them to, to deliver what they need to deliver. So dependencies can be created, and I'll open up one of these just to highlight that these are a work object in and of themselves that are linked to a given feature. Again, this feature has a dependency or multiple dependencies, and then teams would put in the PI. They would highlight which team is requesting it, which team are we depending on to deliver something, and then you can set up like I need this dependency done by such and such sprint, and then the other team can commit, eventually, hopefully commit or kind of go back and forth about when they're committing to delivering that dependency. And then there's the ability to put stories into Jira that you could then link here into this dependency to say these stories are going to go towards achieving this dependency. So some really robust dependency management within the tool. The tool also has the ability to create risks, which you would potentially do within your PI planning. You can create risks out here, and then there's support for the Rome here, classifying those and even doing a Rome report. So you can bring those in. That's available. There's also support for objectives. I mentioned, I'll just kind of touch on this here at the program level, because your teams would be coming up with their own objectives and committing to those. Your whole program would be committing to objective for the whole PI. And as we come into one of these objectives, what I've done is I've turned on a newer OKR experience with these objectives. So this is actually a newer screen that's just starting to be rolled out within Jira Align. It's again looking a lot more like Jira here, but you can see how this objective plays in, which work items it's linked to. There's key results that you can add in here, and just kind of put in one quickly. You can note the type of key result. You can add that in. And then you can give updates you can give the goal percentage, like we want to get to 100%. And what's our baseline? Well, maybe we're only at 50%. And you can update that. And then gradually you can make updates on this. And those will start to be reflected within the objective score and other reports. So a lot of cool features within objectives. Save that one. You can do team level, again, objectives, program level. There's the objectives also available at the portfolio layer that you can start to link into different epics. All right, so that's a lot, again, around top-down planning from the enterprise all the way down to that program layer, where you're getting ready for your next quarter or PI. So I'm going to just take a quick break here to do a short commercial. So again, we are Valiantis, and a couple of things to note that we are anywhere in the world. We are only one of 3 global partners for Atlassian. That again, we are around the world, provide 24/7 support, as it were, depending on different regions. We are in North America, EMEA. We just recently added Glintech to our companies, and they're based in APAC. So again, we are global. Whatever help you need globally, we can provide that. We also support any product within the Atlassian ecosystem. We are an Atlassian first company, so anything Atlassian related, we are here to help and support you with, including licensing, implementations, custom development, lots of different options. We support any of the platforms within Atlassian. So data center, cloud, private cloud. We have managed services. We have done many cloud migrations if your company is interested in that, moving from data center or server to the Atlassian cloud. And I'll just kind of brush over this. We are, again, we are very much specialized, certified. We have a wonderful, great relationship with Atlassian, the #1 Atlassian Platinum Solution Partner globally. We were just recently the title sponsor at the Atlassian Team 24 event in Las Vegas. So we'd love to talk with you about anything Atlassian related. And then the last commercial plug here is if you want to know more about Jira Align beyond this 1 hour, we do have regular Jira Align boot camps. These are one-day events that will really get into more of the tool than I'm showing you here. But to give you an overview, again, of Jira and Jira Align, to really help your leadership or your Atlassian admins start to get a sense of, is this tool really going to work for us? And it's going to get deeper dive into the different layers of work and the different modules that I'm talking about here and what it means to implement Jira Align. And so Brianna's going to put a link in the chat to register for this event. There's also a 20% off code that you can use as well. Love to have you join us. Oh, sorry, I didn't mention the next one is on June 12th. That's our next Jira Align bootcamp. Okay, back to the tool. To wrap up, we're going to kind of look at our rolling up. So how does this ultimately, all this top-down planning has taken place. Eventually, again, these features, let me go back to our backlog. The features are, if you're using Jira software, which most of our clients are that use Jira Align, those features are syncing over to Jira. The teams in Jira then are taking their features that they're assigned to, they're breaking down those features into stories, estimating those typically with story points, putting them into sprints that are set up in a given PI, and then they start to work those sprints, those 2 or 3 week, however long the sprints are. They're delivering stories that are meant to ultimately deliver those features. So what's really, really great about Jira Align and the connector there is that all that work that's being done at the story level, even down to the subtask level, is synced and can be synced back into Jira Align so that you see the aggregation of the work all the way up the ladder. So what I want to highlight here is imagine, this work was all planned out. The PI is starting to be implemented or starting to be was started, and teams are working diligently in Jira. So out here in the program layer, you can come to the program room. And this is really a great one-stop shop dashboard with lots of different widgets that highlight how are things going. So even at the top, you can see this particular program. You have to pick a program. So this mobile program has 58 features that it's trying to deliver on in PI5. Those 58 features are broken down into 315 stories, and those stories have almost 2,000 story points that are spread around across those 315 stories. So you can see that. You can see the load here and like the velocity of the whole, for the PI. So this program can maybe, based on past PIs and sprints and all that sort of stuff, is noting that we can achieve 2,000 points. That's our velocity that we are trying to plan around. So that's why this many story points were planned to try to meet that, get right close to that velocity. And you can see progress being made by story points or by counts, by, how's each team doing? And hopefully as you're getting closer to the end of the PI, this is starting to get closer and closer to 100%. You, again, have widgets around risks, widgets around dependencies, objectives, any impediments, action items. And then here in the middle, you see the different sprints, and you can see how many story points are accepted in each sprint. You can see exactly where you are in the sprint. So today, this May 16th, we're in the latter half of sprint 27, and we still have one more sprint to go in this PI. And then you can come down here and see some of the progress being made on a feature by feature basis. And you can hover over this and see a lot of great details. So again, highlighting that all the work, again, happening down at that team level in Jira is coming over into Jira Align and is then being aggregated, both the estimation and the actual acceptance and progress being made is showing here. I'll also highlight that that's also rolling up to these other layers of scale. So as all of the different programs are doing their work, all of their work, again, from the story level all the way up, is rolling up to a given portfolio room. Again, another dashboard highlighting different information. And this particular one showing the different the programs within the portfolio and how they're doing it executing. Again, this shows different epics here, how progress is being made on different epics. And there's a couple of different tabs. You can see resources like the load spread around for different themes across different programs. And there's also a finance piece, again, with some of the roll-up of how are we doing financially with each of the different epics that we're working on here. So actually, I might make this a little bit smaller so you can see it a little bit better. So a lot of cool options here. There's also a lot of other reports. And just in wrapping up, I want to just highlight a couple other things. So we have this portfolio room. There's also a roadmaps area that could be used for planning, right? Roadmaps are typically used for planning. Roadmaps within Jira Align can also be used for progress. So the roadmap, actually, if I come in here and I show features by epic, so this is showing the epics, and it's kind of highlighting things that might be at risk. But if I drill in and I expand out one of these epics, it shows the features underneath. And in this case, I'm viewing it on a PI and sprint basis. But I can see it might be a little hard to tell here, but each of these features actually, the Gantt chart here, or the timeline, is actually really a progress bar here. So you're seeing the number of stories points being accepted, and it looks like we're at 79% progress being made, again, with all the roll-up of all those stories. So you can see what's been highlighted here, and even kind of how many stories are being planned in some of these different sprints can be shown here on the roadmap. The roadmap can also show things like milestones and some other things here. So again, too much to show you in a 1-hour webinar, but there is a roadmap available at the epic level, and also down at the feature level as well. A couple other things to just note: there is that product module, management module, that as you click on here, you have to pick a different product to look at, or view all the products you have out there. When I choose a product, I will land in the product room. And so I actually want to pick a particular PI. So this will show you you can adjust the filtering of the PIs you're working on. So in this particular case, I'm looking at this check scanning app product and looking at different personas that have been set up, different product objectives. There's some other little dashboards here around value engineering and theme effort distribution. I also can see the different top features that are in the backlog that are being planned, because what in Jira Align at the feature level, that's where you're tying in a product. So you have the ability to pick one product that a feature is helping to deliver towards. So it's really like a cross section, right? Like this product area is really just a slice through all of the work items that you want to see for a given product. So there's a lot of support around products here within the tool. And then just to kind of highlight and wrap this all up, within each of the different layers of scale, each of these different menu items, there's a reports area. And actually, let me go to the program layer again. These reports used to be kind of spread out all over the place within the old UI. Now they're really more organized under a reports area. And there are many, many, many reports out here that you can use, probably more than you'll typically use. These have different audiences in mind. So, but you can kind of come out here. You can even come into like a status reports. And again, these are just out of the box reports. This one happens to show different epics that the mobile program is working towards. This is one of just many. This is just an example of many different reports out there. And again, if there's a report out here that you're looking for that's not available within the tool itself, that's where Enterprise Insights comes in. It is an add-on. You have to pay extra for it, but that gives you access to all the underlying raw data. And you can pull in all the tables that you want and connect them up and then do your custom reporting within a BI tool. So lots and lots of stuff here within the tool. And I am just mindful that we are almost out of time. And I want to get to some final questions. So let's check out the Q&A area. Got a few questions out here. So the first one is Jira Align licensed as a single environment for a single domain, or can there be two Align environments within a single domain? So I think let me do my best to answer this. So there would just be one. When you get Jira Align Enterprise, you get, like in this case, you would get your production instance. And what we see with companies is they wouldn't have like two different production Jira Aligns. They would be paying, a license for like an enterprise level of Jira Align that would have a production instance, and then it would have a test or sandbox instance that Atlassian can copy down and refresh as you need it to. But the idea is that you'd have one Jira Align that would sit on top of all the different work that you're doing. And your company could be using multiple Jira instances. Jira Align can handle that. You can have, and we've seen this happen where a company has multiple Jira software instances. You can connect multiple Jira software. You could even bring in an Azure DevOps or some other tools that your company is using and bring those in to connect in to Jira Align. And then you can aggregate, again, across all the different tools that you're using, and where Jira Align becomes, again, that roof of the house of all your work tracking and enterprise level, work tracking tools. So it rolls up all that team level data, to get to that program, that portfolio, that enterprise level. So hopefully that helps you answer that question. Next is, can you show the program room and the ideation module? Okay, I already showed the program room, also product support. So I got around a lot of that. The ideation module, let me just show you that real quick. Get back into the tool. This is probably one part of the tool that, some clients use it. Some might ideate through, Jira software or product in one of the new product discovery product within Atlassian. So actually, let me go to products, pick this out again. So yes, there is ideas here. There's an ideation area. And you can kind of see how this looks. You can set up which users can actually add an idea. Those ideas can be scored. Users can vote on ideas, potentially add some more comments on ideas. So this is what that looks like. Again, don't have time to go into depth around it, but this can be used. We've also, again, there's other ways you can bring in ideas using other things, other tools potentially as well. Okay, and lastly, let's see. So yeah, I think that's all we have for today. Hopefully this really gave you a good glimpse, a little teaser into all that Jira Align can do. It's again, a really robust tool and can do quite a bit. We'd love to, again, talk with you more. You can check out this LinkedIn QR code, go to my LinkedIn area, or even better yet, you could just email me at jason.kidner@valiantis.com if you have any other questions or wanted to get on a call to talk more about potential use cases for Jira Align within your organization. And again, highly recommend that if you want some more interaction with our team and want to see more of the tool in play, please consider that Jira Align Bootcamp on June 12th. All right, thanks for coming, everybody. Really glad you could attend. This will also go up on our YouTube site for you to watch offline or share with some of your other colleagues. So take care, everyone. Bye-bye.